History is always written by the winners. When two cultures clash, the loser is obliterated and the winner writes the history books. Books which glorify their own cause and disparage the conquered foe. As Napoleon once said, "What is history but a fable agreed upon?" Dan Brown, The Da Vinci Code.
They never even suspect and tell you any hint of the fact that there could have been another civilization here that was just absolutely a marvel, building these creations beyond belief, mining copper, mining gold, using the ether, creating devices that capture that energy, free energy, existing in peace, harmony, boats, traveling all over the world, airships, using magnetic forces, any type of thing.
And although this vast country is all over the maps and all over the historic writings and documents of that time, it is not even mentioned in the mainstream history. Its name even doesn't exist in its timeline. The Tatar kings were in the line of the Hiporborean heritage. They were kind and just to the citizens of their empire, about which we unfortunately know very little, because Romanovs embarked on destruction of all the Hyperborean legacy. In fact, that the Hyperborean descendants took over a couple of continents during the 15th century greatly disturbed the parasites. It scared them, and that is why even the very name of the country of the Empire of Tartaria is not even mentioned in the school history books.
Oh, regardless, here's the Nova Zemlya that I was talking about.
Het nieuwe land is Nova Zemlya. Hier, deze eilanden, die staan toch niet goed op de kaart. Die eilanden liggen veel meer naar het westen.
Een Heemskerk, heel zo.
En wat ligt hier?
Helemaal in het noorden, dat weet niemand.
In Greek mythology, the Hyperborean people lived beyond the north wind. The Greeks thought that Boreas, the god of the north wind, one of Anemoi or winds, lived in Thrace, and therefore Hyperborea indicates a region that lay far to the north of Thrace. This land was described as perfect, with the sun shining 24 hours a day, suggesting a location with the Arctic Circle. According to the classical Greek poet Pindar, never the muse is absent from their ways. Lyres clash and flutes cry, and everywhere maiden choruses whirling. Neither disease nor bitter old age is mixed in their sacred blood. Far from labor and battle they live. But what does Aryan mean? From Michael Tesla'S. The name Ireland was originally rendered Ari, or Arya land, one of the main connotations of the term being Western land. Another was land of the pure, or noble ones. The Druids were Aryans. This word is usually narrowly construed to signify race. However, the term also refers to spiritual caste.
The Hyperboreans did not have a strong mental faculty of intellectual reasoning. Instead, they had superior intuitive imaginations that could perceive the truth of the universe.
Jacob van de Heemskerk zijn vastbesloten de fortuinlijke weg naar India te openen.
The Aryans entered India from Central Asia between 2000 BC and 1500 BC. But how do we know so much about the Aryans? We read about them in the Vedas. The Vedas are the most important source of information about the Aryans. Written between 1000 to 500 BC, the Vedas have provided historians quite a bit of information about the Aryans. Ancient scholars like Patanjali and Katyayana mention that women were educated on par with men in the early Vedic period.
A lot of hype about Tartary lately, and what some are claiming is an effort to hide a significant chapter of human history. Up until the late 18th century, the great empire of Tartaria was a vast country located in northern and central Asia, stretching eastward from the Caspian Sea and from the Ural Mountains to the Pacific Ocean. It appears on ancient maps, had worldwide influence, and once was ruled by an Aryan nobility. Here we see a modern interpretation of Genghis Khan, yet in reality Genghis Khan had red hair and either green or blue eyes. The same way that the tall, slender, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Aryan Buddha has been transformed in modern times into a fat, or sometimes rather obese, East Asian man. Painted on the walls of ancient Buddhist caves, we can see the true origins of the ancient cultures of China, Iran, India, where blonde and red-headed monks wear Chinese silk with Persian patterns, complete with a dot on their forehead.
The oldest writing system in the world, and predates ancient Sumerian writing, Tartaria tablets. The history and the archaeologists shown us that the oldest writing in the world belonged to Sumerians with their cuneiform writing system. It is more than 5,000 years old, and so far it is generally considered and taught to be the first writing system. But, the Sumerians may not have been the first people to invent the earliest form of writing. However, recent discoveries made by the archaeologists in Romania tend to prove us wrong. While the Danube Valley civilization isn't as famous as other ancient cultures around the globe, is it one of the oldest civilization to exist in Europe, developing from around 5,500 and 3,500 BC in an area known today as the Balkans, a vast area of land that stretches from northern Greece to Slovakia, south to north, and Croatia to Romania, west to east. The Danube civilization was one of the most influential and important cultures in southeastern Europe. According to Harman, are a form of language yet to be deciphered. The symbols, which are also called Vinca symbols,
preserved on pottery found around the Balkan region, the swastika first appears as part of the Vinca script. This script, believed to be a writing system of the Vinca culture, was given its name after a suburb of Belgrade, where in 1908 several artifacts were found by a notable archaeological excavation in the region.
And people said, oh no, we're all about the historic periods. Well, 2.5 years later, we are in the Neolithic. We have moved back 5,000 years from what we thought was our core, and we have embraced a world that I, for one, didn't know existed when I was educated many years ago. Nobody ever talked about the fact that there was a great civilization in Europe well before the pyramids, before the ziggurats, before the Mycenaeans, before Periclean Athens, before all of that. There was an extraordinary civilization in the Danube River basin. And that's what we have been able for the first time to bring to the United States and welcome you to.
Meanwhile, let me explain this. Going back, the Rus, or the Northerners, from Russia, set up by the Vikings more than 2,000 years ago, one of their main homelands is there in Serbia, what's Belgrade today. This is the heartland of the Slavic or Russian culture. Okay?
Question. Would it be possible to hide a complete history, such a recent complete history kept as a complete secret? What if I told you we had an entirely different history up until 250 years ago, and prior to that era there was a civilization which has been almost eradicated from the history books, maps and references, and even erased from a collective consciousness? And now you've seen this hidden history of Tartaria, and we believe that Tartaria were the forerunners and architects and engineers that created the civilization prior to the mud flood. Because I believe that the inventions of Nikola Tesla were in fact Tartarian known knowledge, maybe in book form, whatever. And Tesla was in fact Tartarian himself, or well, at least he was born in Tartaria, according to the maps, or very close to it, because we don't exactly know how far their empire stretched, but we do know they had lots of star cities, which you've seen earlier on the video there. But the point being is that Tesla would have been influenced, or at least his father, his grandfather, his whole family tree would have been influenced by the Tartarian Empire.
What we know as the Renaissance, the European Union forming after Rome from Germany and then to Spain, Britain, etc., it's a fabrication. This evil group rises, takes over, history is rewritten, and all ancient history is systematically erased by these power-hungry peoples, whoever they were. All the remaining empires and people were forced to join or be killed.
Aviano Air Base, Italy. The fourth night of the war. Zelko prepares to fly into Serbian airspace. His mission: take out a key military command center near the Serbian capital, Belgrade.